Good morning. I'm Gerald Torres, and I'm a board member of Folk Alliance International. And I want to welcome you to the first virtual conference that we've presented. I'm joining you today from the traditional territory of the Mohegan, the Mashantucket Pequot, the Eastern Pequot, the Schaghticoke, the Golden Hill Paugussett, the Nyanek, and the Quinnipiac people. These people have stewarded the land and the waterways which now make up Connecticut, and we honor and respect their continued presence and the work they've done to remain vital nations today. We acknowledge the complexity that we face putting on a virtual conference, and we recognize the legacy of colonization that's embedded in the technologies we use, the structures that guide the conference, and the ways in which we think about things in everyday life. We'd like to start this conference with hellos from around the world, and people can do as they say hello, can provide their own land acknowledgements. Welcome to Folk Alliance International, Folk Unlocked.
Hi, this is Amy Reitnauer Jacobs, and I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Kizh, Tongva, and Chumash, also known as Los Angeles, California.
Hi, we're Crystal and Pete of Ordinary Elephant.
And we're joining you from the traditional territory of the Attakapas Ishak and Attakapas Opelousas, otherwise known as Opelousas, Louisiana.
We hope you have a wonderful conference.
Hi, my name is Matt Smith, and I'm coming to you from the traditional land of the Massachusetts, currently known as Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Anin Bojo, Jaush Kubanezekwe Desnikazan, Migazi Dodem, Bachawana, and Donjaba, Anishinaabe and Dao. My name is Shoshona Kish, and I am wishing you all a great Folk Alliance from beautiful Anishinaabe territory here, otherwise known as Barrie, Ontario. See you this week.
Hi, I'm Mary Sack, and I'm joining you here today from the traditional territories of the Shawnee and Cherokee Nations, otherwise known as Nashville, Tennessee. I am standing here along the banks of the mighty Cumberland River and right in the middle of many well-known Indian burial mounds. Have a great Folk Unlocked.
Hi, I'm Michael Jaworek, and I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Anacostan, now known as Alexandria, Virginia.
Hi, I'm Suze Casey, and I'm standing in the traditional territories of the Blackfoot, Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai, the Tsuut'ina, Sarsi, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all of the people who make their homes as I do in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta near Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Yat-e, hello, my name is Delbert Anderson. I am joining you from the traditional territory of the Diné, otherwise known as Farmington, New Mexico.
Hello, I'm Susan Pepper. I am joining you from the traditional territory of the Ani-gi-Duagi, of which the Eastern Band of the Cherokee is a local part. This place is otherwise known as Kolowee, North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Mark Laurie, and I'm joining you today from the traditional territory of the Seminole and the Calusa, also known as Sarasota, Florida.
Forrest, I'm Sara Einak. I'm joining in for this meeting from Sweden, and I want to acknowledge the traditional land of the Sami people, Sápmi. I wish you all a pleasant meeting.
I'm Grantley Phillips. I'm speaking to you from the traditional lands of the Cherokee, Shawnee, Chickasaw, and Yuchi, known today as Nashville, Tennessee. I myself am a citizen of the Muskogee Creek Nation. In the 1800s, forced removal took us from our ancestral home in the southeast to what is now Oklahoma, the traditional heart of our nation. Our journey continues. Today, you will find our presence and our contributions in every arena, including music, which has brought us here today. I'm glad to be with you, and I'm glad you're here. Mado.
I want to gratefully acknowledge the ancestors, the land, the water, and spirits of creation, and acknowledging that I stand in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, and which the Mi'kmaq and the Maliseet people first signed with the British Crown in 1725. May we live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with its people.
I'm Dan Bowditch from Vancouver's Rogue Folk Club. I'm joining you from the unceded traditional lands belonging to the Coast Salish nations, particularly the territories of the Ho'okamelam-speaking Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples, otherwise known as the Lower Mainland of British Columbia. We endeavor to honor and strengthen our relationship and responsibilities to the land and the Indigenous peoples who are so well connected to it.
Hi, this is Dina McLeod joining you from what is currently called Oklahoma. This is the traditional land of the Muskogee Creek, Osage, and Cherokee nations, as well as being the ancestral home of the Caddo and many other tribes who called this land their home before the forced removal. We respect their hospitality and we honor their history.
Hi, this is Jonathan Bird, coming to you from the traditional lands of the Sissepahaw, the Shakori, the Saponi, the Eno, and the Occaneechi, otherwise known as beautiful downtown Tyr, North Carolina.
Hola, my name is Carolina Rojas, and I'm joining you from the traditional territory of Emberachami and Pijao, ordinarily known as Medellin and Tolima.
Hi, I'm Tim McFadden. I'm joining you from the territory of the Yuchi, the Shawnee, and the Cherokee East, otherwise known as Nashville, Tennessee.
Kia ora, I'm Minaripia. I'm honoured to be joining you from Titahi Bay, Porirua, Wellington, Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Hi, this is John McCutcheon, greeting you from the traditional lands of the Cherokee Eastern Nation, otherwise known as Smoke Rise, Georgia.
Hi everyone, I'm Eve Goldberg, and I'm joining you from the traditional territories of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Chippewa, and the Wendat peoples, part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty, otherwise known as Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, I'm Lowell Paul Stuckey, and I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the Wabanaki, otherwise known as Blue Hill, Maine.
Hi, my name is Emily Woodamara, and I'm coming to you live from Iliakbara, aka Biggerton Island, my country.
This is Art Minius. I'm coming to you from the traditional home of the Occaneechi, Saponi, Eno, and Tutelo people, now known as the Occaneechi Band of the Saponi Nation. This is now called Orange County, North Carolina.
Hi, I'm Julie Moore, the new Ethno-USA manager with Folk Alliance International and JMI, and I'm joining you from the traditional territory of the East Cherokee, Yuchi, and Catawba.
Hello, I am Michelle Conceição. I'm tuning in today from the traditional territory of the Shawnee, Yuchi, and Eastern Band of Cherokee people. Today we know this place as Nashville, Tennessee. I would also wish to honor and acknowledge the Mashpee Wampanoag, Aquinnah-Wampanoag, Nipmuc, and Massachusetts tribal nation elders past, present, and future. From the land of my birth in Massachusetts, a place I love dearly, miss very much, and hope I get to see again someday soon. Welcome to Folk Unlocked. I look forward to this time and community with you.
Hi, bonjour, je m'appelle Tressa Lavasseur, and I'm joining you from the traditional territories of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe people in the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement territory, otherwise known as Hamilton, Ontario.
And we are the Folk Alliance International team, located on the ancestral indigenous land of the Osage, Kansa, Kickapoo, and Oceti-Sakowin nations, also known as Kansas City. We honor with gratitude their elders, past, present, and future.
The purpose for making a land acknowledgement in post-colonial society is to show respect for Indigenous people and their traditional territories, to recognize their unique cultures and enduring relationship to the land, and to raise awareness about histories that are often forgotten or suppressed.
On behalf of the entire Folk Alliance International family, we'd like to welcome you to Folk Unlocked, the exciting virtual edition of our conference. This has been a really hard year for everyone, but we're so glad you're with us.
While our members, board, and industry partners are spread out across the globe, our staff has been working at home since March, right here in Kansas City, Missouri.
We have friends old and new joining us this week. If you're new to Folk Alliance, we invite you to take in as much as you can. Attend the panels, visit the exhibit hall, check out the showcases, and be sure to make some new friends.
And if you're returning to FAI, welcome back. You know how this works? It's just online this time. It's been quite a year since we last gathered in New Orleans. We miss you. And while we wish that we were all together in person, let's make the next few days as personal and connected as they can be.